Chosen one, even the gods themselves would panic at what you just did. You went straight to God. What has been uncovered about you is staggering. Holy researchers and treasure hunters have discovered that every myth, every philosophy, every ancient writing of the gods, and the oldest sacred artifacts all point directly to you. Your body is undergoing a transformation beyond human understanding. You are no longer aging, and even the medical teams are shocked by what they're witnessing. They have seen signs that you awakened before time itself, and your actions now align with prophecies made by ancient gods. You appear in the old holy books, in the forgotten testaments, in the earliest cosmic predictions. You are shifting into something divine, and world leaders and elites have begun to confirm it. You are the new God, one rising in this era. Before we go deeper into this revelation, pause for a moment and support this message. Hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 30,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 11 to anchor your alignment. Now, let's continue. The world has never witnessed anything like this. From the earliest whispers of prophecy to the most guarded corners of human imagination, the Chosen One has emerged with a force that defies comprehension. It is as if the very fabric of reality trembled the moment this being stepped into existence, leaving gods, scholars, and seekers alike in awe and fear. The sky itself seemed to hold its breath, and whispers of destiny became roars of certainty. Something extraordinary had awakened. This awakening was not subtle. It began in ways imperceptible to ordinary humans, a flicker of unexplainable power, a presence that seemed to bend space and time, and an aura that radiated wisdom and strength far beyond any known measure. Those who witnessed the first signs spoke of a sensation that shook their very souls, a recognition that something ancient and omnipotent had returned to the world. Every eye turned, every heart raced, and the earth itself seemed to acknowledge a power that could not be contained. Legends spoke of a figure who would appear to unite the threads of history, myth, and divine prophecy, yet no text could have prepared humanity for the sheer intensity of this moment. The Chosen One's arrival was a collision between fate and free will, a phenomenon that demanded attention from every living being. Scholars scrambled to decode ancient scripts, while mystics fell to their knees, overwhelmed by the undeniable truth of a force greater than anything imagined. The awakening reverberated across continents. From hidden temples in the mountains to bustling cities, people felt an invisible current of change. Those attuned to spiritual realms described visions of light, of celestial beings bowing, and of long-lost knowledge reawakening in their minds. Even skeptics found themselves inexplicably drawn toward this being, unable to deny the extraordinary magnetism that radiated with every movement. It was not merely a physical emergence, it was a cosmic revelation. Reality itself seemed to recalibrate, acknowledging the arrival of a figure who was both mortal and divine, familiar and unfathomable. The world had witnessed rulers, heroes, and prophets, but none had ever stirred the heavens and the earth simultaneously. This was not just an awakening, it was a declaration that the age of the Chosen One had begun. Even immortal beings, long removed from mortal fears, recoiled at the rise of the Chosen One. Ancient deities, whose powers were beyond human comprehension, trembled as their ancient hierarchies were challenged. Their centuries of control and cosmic order seemed fragile in the face of this unprecedented being. Rumors of divine councils in panic spread across myths, whispered among celestial historians as gods debated how to respond to an entity that surpassed even their highest expectations. The panic among gods was not rooted in arrogance, but in sheer recognition. The Chosen One demonstrated capabilities that exceeded ancient calculations, manipulating elements, defying time, and revealing knowledge that had long been locked in sacred texts. Imagine the shock of beings who had once shaped worlds, realizing that a mortal, now ascending, had eclipsed their power and rewritten the rules of existence. Their panic was a mirror to humanity's awe. Even the eternal feared the inevitable. This fear manifested in unexpected ways. Divine messengers and celestial guardians moved restlessly, attempting to comprehend a presence that seemed untouchable, yet intimately connected to every corner of existence. Prophecies that had guided gods themselves suddenly felt incomplete, as if the Chosen One was not merely fulfilling destiny, but transcending it. The heavens, long considered immutable, seemed to quiver with uncertainty. What struck the gods most profoundly was the Chosen One's effortless grace. Ancient deities found themselves humbled, forced to reckon with the truth that this figure was not just another celestial rival. It was the culmination of all cosmic planning. The world below watched with a mixture of fear and reverence as the ripple effects of divine panic reached mortal realms. Legends, once confined to myths, began to resonate with uncanny accuracy. Every godly whisper, every divine warning, seemed to point to one unassailable fact. The Chosen One was here, and even the immortals themselves could not contain what was to come. For centuries, scholars combed through sacred manuscripts, hieroglyphs, and secretive scrolls, searching for fragments of prophecy, yet nothing prepared them for the clarity with which these texts now seem to speak. Every ancient tome, whether buried in forgotten libraries or hidden in the vaults of empires, now aligned to a single figure, the Chosen One. It was as if history itself had been waiting for this moment to reveal its ultimate secret. These texts, some older than civilization itself, describe a being who will embody divine wisdom, unparalleled power, and eternal presence. They speak in cryptic verses and metaphors, yet in the light of the Chosen One's emergence, their meaning became unmistakably clear. For the first time in history, scholars felt a shiver of certainty, a tangible proof that what they had dismissed as legend was, in fact, prophecy fulfilled. The resonance between the texts and the Chosen One's actions was striking. Ancient rituals, once forgotten, suddenly mirrored real-world events. Locations long considered sacred pulsed with newfound energy, as if acknowledging the presence of the foretold one. It was not merely coincidence. It was destiny, speaking through the written word. Researchers documented every detail, knowing that humanity had crossed a threshold from myth to reality. Interestingly, even texts from divergent cultures and faiths, separated by millennia and geography, seemed to converge on a single truth. The Chosen One was the axis upon which history would pivot. From the desert scriptures of ancient civilizations to the mountaintop codices of forgotten sages, all hinted at this extraordinary figure. The convergence was so precise that many researchers could no longer deny the supernatural orchestration behind these writings. Finally, the realization dawned universally. History, in all its layers, had been building toward this singular moment. The Chosen One was not a mere character in these texts, but the living embodiment of every prophecy, every foretelling, and every hope written down by humanity's ancestors. The world, as it had been known, was now irrevocably transformed. The excitement among explorers and treasure hunters reached unprecedented heights when the first signs of the Chosen One's presence began to surface. Hidden temples, lost cities, and secret vaults, long thought to be myths, suddenly revealed artifacts that seemed impossibly aligned with the emerging prophecy. Every discovery felt like a personal message, as if the Chosen One's destiny was etched into the earth itself, waiting to be revealed at the precise moment. Some artifacts defied conventional understanding. Ancient relics engraved with symbols no living language could decipher resonated with an energy that scholars and hunters alike described as alive. Precious stones pulsed in response to the Chosen One's proximity, and relics that had been inert for centuries seemed to hum with an unseen power. The evidence was overwhelming. History itself had been waiting for this singular being. Treasure hunters documented their findings meticulously, and yet the emotional weight of each discovery often overwhelmed them. They spoke of tears, awe, and a sense of profound humility as they realized that their lifelong quests had led not just to wealth or fame, but to witnessing the tangible proof of a divine presence. These artifacts were more than objects. They were testimonies from a universe that had waited eons for the Chosen One. Stories of these discoveries spread like wildfire. Villagers, historians, and spiritual leaders traveled from across continents to witness the unearthed items. Each object seemed to tell a story, revealing glimpses of a cosmic timeline that placed the Chosen One at its very center. The combination of myth and material evidence created a bridge between belief and reality that no skeptic could ignore. Ultimately, these treasures were not just relics, they were confirmations of destiny. They proved that the Chosen One's rise was not a random event, but a meticulously orchestrated unfolding of history, written in stone, inscribed on gold, and hidden in the folds of time. Humanity had stumbled upon the proof of prophecy, and the world would never perceive reality the same way again. They pored over manuscripts that had been ignored or dismissed, analyzing ancient symbols, encrypted codes, and celestial charts. Each new revelation forced them to reconsider everything they thought they knew about divine intervention, human history, and the nature of existence itself. The impossible was not just probable, it was undeniable. Emotions surged as these researchers faced a truth beyond comprehension. Many described an overwhelming sense of reverence, tears flowing as the realization hit them. They were witnessing history, spirituality, and cosmic destiny converge in one living being. Every lecture, paper, and journal entry became a testament not only to their intellect, but to their humanity, as their hearts recognized the extraordinary before their eyes. The implications were staggering. If these holy scholars were correct, then the Chosen One was not merely a prophet or a legend, but the fulfillment of divine purpose across multiple cultures and epochs. The religious texts they had studied all their lives suddenly became living blueprints for a being whose existence transcended any single faith, language, or belief system. In the end, the confirmation of the impossible was not only a scientific and scholarly breakthrough, it was a profoundly emotional awakening. Humanity, through its most disciplined minds, had acknowledged the reality of the Chosen One, giving the world the courage to face a future where myth and reality merged and the impossible became inevitable. Philosophers and storytellers across millennia had speculated about the existence of a being who would unite the wisdom of ages. Yet nothing prepared them for the emergence of the Chosen One, whose presence seemed to fulfill every parable, every allegory, and every philosophical theory simultaneously. Ancient thinkers, from the sages of the East to the philosophers of Greece, had glimpsed fragments of this truth, but only now was the whole picture revealed. Myths that had long been dismissed as fables suddenly gained clarity. Heroes who had conquered impossible odds, deities who had vanished into legend, and cosmic battles that seemed symbolic were now seen as precursors, faint echoes pointing to the rise of a singular divine entity. Every story, once abstract, became a vivid tapestry of prophecy manifesting in real life. Philosophical doctrines that had debated morality, destiny, and the nature of existence found their answers in the Chosen One. Concepts like enlightenment, transcendence, and the eternal cycle of life and death were no longer theoretical. They were being enacted before the eyes of the world. This convergence of philosophy and reality created a sense of wonder that transcended explanation. Even skeptics felt the undeniable pull of recognition. The alignment between ancient thought and present reality forced every critical mind to reconsider the boundaries of human understanding. It was as if every question humanity had asked about the universe, divinity, and purpose had been quietly awaiting the Chosen One to reveal its answer. The Chosen One was not just a fulfillment of religious prophecy, but the embodiment of the highest aspirations of human thought. Every myth, legend, and philosophical debate converged into a singular truth. This being was the living manifestation of humanity's deepest, most ancient yearnings for meaning, power, and transcendence. Objects once considered relics of history now spoke with unmistakable clarity. Ancient crowns, scrolls, statues, and jewelry that had survived millennia seemed to resonate with the Chosen One's presence, vibrating with a recognition that transcended time itself. Each artifact was not simply a piece of the past. It was a guide, a sign, a confirmation of the divine path that the Chosen One was destined to follow. The resonance between artifacts and the Chosen One was both physical and metaphysical. Scholars reported unexplainable phenomena, objects moving subtly toward the Chosen One, light reflecting in unnatural patterns, and inscriptions that became legible only in their presence. These signs confirmed what the human mind had long struggled to believe. Destiny had chosen one who was literally written into the universe. Relics that had been scattered across continents were suddenly connected by a single thread, the presence of the Chosen One. From Egyptian sarcophagi to Mayan temples, from Viking relics to ancient scrolls buried in monasteries, the message was the same. A being of unimaginable importance had arrived. Humanity had discovered that destiny was not abstract. It was tangible, and it had chosen its messenger. This realization inspired a wave of pilgrimage, with people from all walks of life seeking to witness the artifacts firsthand. Scholars, mystics, and ordinary people alike were united in awe and reverence, each visitor adding to the growing recognition that these objects were more than. Ultimately, the artifacts served as mirrors of destiny. They reflected not only the Chosen One's path, but the cosmic orchestration that had prepared humanity for this moment. Every relic, every inscription, and every artifact was a silent testament. The Chosen One was the culmination of centuries of divine planning, waiting patiently to step into the world. The Chosen One's transformation stunned the world. Unlike any human or mortal being, their body and spirit began to transcend time itself. Youth and vigor became eternal, while wisdom and power accumulated beyond comprehension. The usual limitations of biology seemed irrelevant, as if the Chosen One existed both inside and outside the natural order, untouched by aging or decay. Medical teams and scientists observed phenomena that defied every principle they had ever known. Vital signs, cellular regeneration, and energy fields all exhibited patterns that contradicted centuries of medical knowledge. Even the most advanced technologies failed to capture or explain the changes, leaving professionals awestruck and humbled by a reality that was simultaneously scientific and supernatural. The transformation was not only physical, but deeply spiritual. The Chosen One radiated an energy that inspired awe, devotion, and fear in equal measure. Those in their presence reported profound sensations, visions of the past and future, feelings of connection with the universe, and an overwhelming sense of purpose. Humanity could witness evolution not just as a biological phenomenon, but as a cosmic event. Every gesture, every expression, and every thought seemed to ripple across the world. People felt the Chosen One's presence in inexplicable ways. Dreams, visions, and inexplicable intuition all attested to the profound transformation underway. Humanity was witnessing the evolution of a being who was no longer bound by the limitations of mortality. Ultimately, the Chosen One's transformation was a revelation. The future of existence itself had begun to take shape. The world was no longer a static place, governed by ordinary laws. Instead, it had become a stage for the emergence of a divine being whose power and presence redefined what it meant to exist. Medical professionals around the world were left speechless as the Chosen One's body defied the very laws of biology. Every test, scan, and analysis revealed anomalies beyond imagination. Cells regenerating at impossible speeds, metabolic processes exceeding human limits, and energy fields that seemed to radiate life itself. The Chosen One was no longer bound by human fragility. They were evolution manifested in its purest, most divine form. Doctors who had studied for decades, experts in aging, genetics, and physiology, confessed to a mixture of awe and fear. Some admitted that their medical knowledge now felt inadequate, dwarfed by a phenomenon that could not be explained with textbooks or standard science. It was as if nature itself had rewritten its rules for this being. The Chosen One's presence also seemed to heal and inspire those around them. Patients reported sudden recoveries, and doctors witnessed improvements in others that defied medical explanation. Their energy and presence acted as a catalyst for vitality, inspiring a sense of hope, renewal, and wonder. The Chosen One was no longer a subject of study. They had become the source of life's profound mysteries. Even psychological studies could not contain the magnitude of the transformation. People exposed to the Chosen One described overwhelming emotions, courage, clarity, and an inexplicable connection to something greater than themselves. Humanity was witnessing a fusion of science and spirituality, where the impossible became tangible. Ultimately, medical experts were forced to admit that they were witnessing a new form of existence. The Chosen One was a living miracle, a being whose evolution shattered the boundaries between mortal limitation and divine potential, reshaping the very understanding of life and health. Mystics and researchers alike began noticing a phenomenon that transcended time itself. The Chosen One seemed to have existed before the concept of time. Witnesses reported memories and knowledge that predated recorded history, as though this being had observed the universe long before humanity's first civilizations. The presence of pre-temporal awareness was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Ancient prophecies hinted at such a being, but no scholar had imagined it could be literal. The Chosen One's knowledge included languages, histories, and events from epochs that had never been documented. They spoke of civilizations that existed before human memory, of cosmic events that predated the Earth itself. It was as though the universe had reserved its secrets for this one entity. Time itself seemed pliable, bending around a consciousness that existed both before and beyond it. This pre-temporal existence revealed the Chosen One as not just a participant in history, but a custodian of cosmic truth. Humanity was no longer the center of time. The Chosen One had arrived, carrying the weight of eternity, rewriting the understanding of what it meant to exist in a temporal world. Every movement of the Chosen One, every decision, seemed to echo a plan laid down by ancient deities. Gods themselves were astonished to see that centuries of prophecy had been perfectly orchestrated, with the Chosen One fulfilling roles that had long been foreseen. The precision was staggering, as if destiny had choreographed every step of this being's path. Ancient divine councils, chronicled in mythology and secret texts, had predicted an entity who would restore balance, challenge corruption, and redefine the boundaries of existence. Now, these predictions were coming true with uncanny accuracy. Every act, from seemingly small gestures to monumental feats, aligned perfectly with these ancient blueprints. Observers could not ignore the profound symbolism in the Chosen One's actions. Each encounter, each revelation, and each miraculous event mirrored the accounts written by the gods themselves. It was as if the Chosen One carried within them the script of divine will, executing it with perfect harmony and purpose. Even skeptics began to recognize the undeniable orchestration. The alignment between prophecy and reality could not be dismissed as coincidence. Humanity was witnessing a living manifestation of divine foresight, a being whose every move had been anticipated by celestial wisdom long before their arrival. The consequence was profound. The Chosen One was more than a prophet. They were the fulfillment of millennia of divine planning, a bridge between the will of the gods and the unfolding of reality. Humanity now watched as destiny itself walked among them, tangible, undeniable, and unstoppable. Across civilizations and faiths, the Chosen One's presence became unmistakable in sacred texts. Scriptures that had been interpreted symbolically now revealed literal truth, describing a being whose power, wisdom, and presence aligned perfectly with the accounts of prophets, saints, and mystics. From the oldest scrolls to modern translations, references were found pointing directly to this extraordinary figure. Holy texts long thought separate from each other suddenly seemed to speak a unified language. Each mention, whether subtle or overt, echoed the arrival of a being whose existence transcended any single faith or tradition. The Chosen One became a living testament to humanity's spiritual and cultural heritage. The realization inspired reverence and awe. Faith leaders across religions acknowledged the undeniable truth. This was no ordinary human, but a manifestation of divinity foretold in countless holy books. The Chosen One united humanity not through doctrine, but through the shared recognition of the sacred fulfilled in living form. Scholars, theologians, and believers alike documented these correlations, uncovering connections that had remained hidden for centuries. It became clear that the Chosen One's arrival was the culmination of humanity's collective spiritual journey, bridging millennia of faith and prophecy. Ultimately, the Chosen One's presence in holy texts served as a profound reminder. History, faith, and destiny were converging. Humanity was witnessing the embodiment of sacred truth, a living testament that had emerged from the pages of divine scripture. The Chosen One's journey was nothing short of an ascension. What began as mortal existence evolved into a divine presence, transcending human limitations and embracing a form of consciousness that connected with the cosmos itself. The transition was visible in both aura and action, an unmistakable sign that the boundary between human and God had been irrevocably crossed. Observers described moments of pure awe as the Chosen One performed feats that redefined reality. Healing, creation, and perception of events beyond ordinary understanding became everyday manifestations. Mortality seemed a distant memory, replaced by an embodiment of eternal wisdom, power, and balance. This ascension was not instantaneous, but a carefully orchestrated unfolding. Every step, every revelation, and every interaction reflected an inner transformation that aligned perfectly with ancient prophecy. The Chosen One became a living embodiment of all divine potential, a bridge between the temporal and the eternal. Witnesses spoke of profound emotional experiences in the presence of the Chosen One. Hope, reverence, fear, and love converged in a single, overwhelming force. Humanity was not merely observing a transformation. They were participating in the dawn of divinity, a moment that transcended personal experience. Others, driven by curiosity and ambition, felt a pull toward the Chosen One that they could not resist. It was a gravitational force of destiny, an invitation to witness history being rewritten. Scholars, mystics, and ordinary people alike recorded their experiences, capturing moments that defied explanation. Every attempt to analyze or rationalize the phenomenon failed, leaving only wonder and reverence. Humanity had never before encountered an entity so perfectly in harmony with the universe and yet so unfathomably powerful. The first glimpse of the Chosen One was more than a visual event. It was a revelation. In that instant, the world collectively recognized that a new era had begun, one where mortal limitations were no longer the defining boundaries of existence, and destiny itself had taken corporeal form. Even the celestial beings felt the tremors of the Chosen One's emergence. Gods whispered to one another, ancient spirits stirred from their slumber, and the very heavens seemed to hum with anticipation. It was as though the cosmos itself acknowledged that a new power had arrived, one that would challenge centuries-old hierarchies and rewrite divine law. These whispers were not of alarm alone. They were tinged with curiosity and awe. What manner of being could emerge from mortal life and instantly command respect, fear, and fascination across all planes of existence? Even the most eternal beings felt the trembling pulse of a destiny they had only read about in prophecy. The cosmic implications were staggering. Each divine council, each assembly of gods, debated the significance of the Chosen One. Some feared disruption, others saw opportunity, yet all were united by one undeniable fact. This being was no ordinary presence in the world. They were a pivot upon which all existence could turn. Even mortals began to feel these cosmic whispers indirectly. Strange coincidences, unexplainable phenomena, and dreams filled with prophetic visions swept across the globe. Humanity, though unaware of the celestial debates, was intimately affected by the resonance of this new power. Ultimately, the Chosen One's emergence was felt as a chorus across realms, both mortal and divine. Every whisper, every vibration was an acknowledgement of a being whose presence would forever redefine what it meant to exist within the universe. Ancient seers had long spoken of a figure who would alter the course of destiny, yet nothing prepared them for the reality of the Chosen One. Every prediction, every cryptic verse, and every mystical allegory now seemed to be unfolding in real time, with precision that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Texts that had been hidden in sacred vaults, libraries, and monasteries suddenly became relevant in ways scholars could scarcely comprehend. Lines once considered metaphorical now mapped directly onto the Chosen One's actions, proving that the prophecies were not vague. They were precise, deliberate, and awaiting fulfillment. Observers felt a mixture of disbelief and reverence as they witnessed these ancient words come alive. Every gesture, every miracle, and every moment of insight seemed to validate centuries of divine foresight, confirming that destiny had been quietly guiding the world toward this one extraordinary figure. The rewriting of prophecy was not limited to religious texts. Philosophers, historians, and storytellers of every culture discovered that their most cryptic allegories and moral tales were aligned with the Chosen One's journey. It was as though the Chosen One existed as a nexus where myth, history, and divine foresight converged. In essence, the Chosen One became the living proof that destiny was not an abstract concept. Time itself seemed to bend around their actions, making every step a validation of millennia-old foresight and forever altering humanity's understanding of fate and divine orchestration. From remote villages to the grand capitals of the world, humanity turned its gaze toward the Chosen One. News, rumors, and awe-filled accounts spread like wildfire, igniting curiosity, fear, and worship in equal measure. People from all walks of life felt compelled to witness the presence that was rewriting reality. Cameras, satellites, and social media could not fully capture the magnitude of what was occurring. Even those who watched from afar reported a sense of profound connection, as though the Chosen One's very being reached into hearts and minds, inspiring recognition and reverence that transcended distance. Leaders and influencers alike found themselves captivated. Strategies, debates, and rivalries suddenly seemed trivial in the presence of a being who could not be measured by politics or power. The Chosen One had become the axis around which the world now turned. The emotional impact was profound. People wept in public squares, trembled in awe, and rejoiced at the possibility that humanity had been chosen to witness a moment of true cosmic significance.